Hi folks, I'm Richard Friedman and welcome to my political cartoon countdown for November 20th, 2021. Every week or so we get together and we do the top cartoons on Twitter based on impressions and popularity, and I quantify it, put it in order and shoot it out to you every week, and we have a go at it. These are political cartoons, and a little bit about myself. I was a math teacher for a number of years, about 20 years or so, and then I retired and started doing political cartoons as a hobby and started writing books. And that's about it. And so what I'd like to do right now is just to tell you, first of all, that on November 6th, as a teacher, I always like to correct my mistakes. I made a mistake, and I said, basically, I'm going to correct it right now, that President Trump never former President Trump never contacted Dan Quayle about if he could delay or cut off the election, of Biden, change the election results in any shape or form. It was the vice president who did that. Vice President Mike Pence, who made the contact. He was under pressure from the Trump administration, from President Trump. Clearly, that's demonstrated, and he decided to see if it could be done. And so we contacted Dan Quayle, who was kind of out of the loop. He had no stock in this, so Dan Quayle said it's a no go. So anyway, we know that when President Trump, if President Trump decides to run for president, we know he ain't going to pick Dan Quayle. We know he ain't going to pick Dan Quayle for vice president. He ain't going to pick Mike Pence for another term either. And he's certainly not going to pick the 13 House members who voted for the bipartisan infrastructure bill that was passed in the Senate, who voted for that in the House and passed the bill. He ain't going to vote for those 13 people, Republicans either. So we know who he's not going to pick as a vice president for sure. Okay, so anyway, I'd like to get started right now. And first of all, I always like to introduce you to my books and to go flashback to a year or two, sometimes 3 years, what was happening on this date. So here we have this was my book from 2020. And here's what was happening on November 18th, 2020. Okay, there you have it here. It's November 18th, 2020. Okay, and here you have, this is called the Hammer Program, because President Trump, former President Trump, then President Trump, after the election, was saying that there was a Hammer Program called the Hammer, a computer called the Hammer, that they used to change votes with, a laptop computer of some kind, or a computer that was used to change votes, and they call it the Hammer. So then here's how this was like the introduction to the Hammer Program here. So I drew the laptop with then President Trump under the hammer, hammering down his vote tally, taking away his votes and giving it to Biden. That was the whole idea, called the Hammer. Okay, here's how it went. President Trump fires the head of the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, Chris Krebs, for possibly the high-level officials breaking the last straw in his history of rejecting the president's conspiracy theories. So Krebs wanted no part of these conspiracy theories, okay, he called it nonsense to at least one member of the president's legal team. So he went to the lawyers, President Trump's lawyers, and said, this is nonsense, okay? And they were arguing for the then President Trump. Craig said, okay, number of president's legal team allegation that Democrats tried to steal the election using a CIA supercomputer. This was a supercomputer, okay? This was not the program. It's a year ago. So this was a supercomputer called the Hammer, to change vote tallies to benefit Democrat Joe Biden, switching the votes. So here I drew the computer, how it would look, This is the Hammer. This is the supercomputer called the Hammer that's used exclusively. The computer is designed for voting, to take votes from one person to put them to the other. So, and here they just put in the program to take away President Trump's votes and give it to Biden, and that's how I kind of drew it there. The hammer. Okay. Okay. So again, this was my this book was for the entire year of 2020. Okay, and there it is. Okay, this was my current book for 2021. Here I drew the Capitol with all the characters there. You can see all of them here. You know, and here you got President Trump leading the band, and here's the band playing. Here, all these people playing to President Trump, and here you have Joe Biden on top, Kamala Harris, and there's a President Trump called him Shifty Schiff, you know, and there's Dr. Fauci putting his hand over his head, and then you got Gates here, you got Bernie Sanders. Okay, you recognize them. Okay. And this was, again, my current book for part one, and part two will be coming out probably in the middle of in January, when this year is finally over. Okay, so this was just a few things that I had here. Okay. Here we have Gates with President Trump. We have Sidney Powell, Josh Hawley, Cruz, and here's Senator Lisa Murkowski with Trump, Senator Lisa Murkowski, Mitch McConnell watching the whole thing. We got Ronald Reagan in there, former President Trump. Okay. Marco Rubio. Rand Paul. Okay, this was my most current book for the first half of 2021. Okay, this was this is we did the 2020. This is 2019. Got the White House in the background. Okay. Here's Mitch McConnell's a Trojan horse. Lindsey Graham here. Okay, that was my 2019 book, edition 2. This was edition 1. Here's Rudy Giuliani. Okay, this was that, and here was my first book. That included the Democrats and Republicans that were running for for their party's nomination in 2016. Okay. Okay. Here we have Hillary Clinton. There was Hillary Clinton talking about, she was talking about the veterans, it's not, there's no real problem with the veterans. It's not a widespread thing. And it was a widespread thing. And then here's a guy who has a prostate problem waiting to be operated on. He's watching Hillary up there saying that, and he says, "I'm joining the Republicans, expletive deleted, you Hillary." You know, so that was one time that was a time when the Republicans were right, that there was a bad problem with the veterans, okay? Medical treatments in their hospitals. So I have the Democrats here. There's Bernie Sanders on top. And here was Chris Christie. He was running. Okay, this was my first book. Okay, again, if you ever want to check them out, you just go to my website, Richard's Books, politicalcartoons.com. No apostrophe on the S, no spaces. And it's like a political Disney World. You get to see everything that was all my books and all samples, no tickets, no price of admission. Just have a good time there and just enjoy yourself and laugh. And also think. I don't like to make people I always say that I always like to present you the facts with a joke, and then you decide. That's been my philosophy in terms of how I approach these cartoons. Trying not to inject myself, make the joke, give you the facts, and then anybody can look at it and say, well, I think this or I think that. That's what my aim is. It's always been that way. So anyway, folks, here is this is a cartoon that I just did a few minutes ago, and it's not in the countdown. So I'm going to shoot it out to you right now as outside of the countdown. Here it is. Here you have the QAnon shaman here. Here you have Mitch McConnell meeting up. There's a dream that former President Trump had. The dream was sparked by what I'm going to read to you right now, what sparked the dream here. Okay? Okay, so here goes. Former President Donald Trump, January 6th, Mitch McConnell / QAnon shaman dream, given Trump's statement that praised Kevin McCarthy for just setting a record of over 8 hours for speaking on the House floor. Just the other day, he spoke for 8 hours, trying to stop that vote from happening in the House for the social infrastructure bill. He tried to stop it. Couldn't stop it, but he tried. 8 hours. That's a long time to stand up there speaking, and concluding, if Mitch McConnell, he concluded, this is former President Trump's statement here, and he was congratulating McCarthy and praising him for standing up there 8 hours and speaking against that, calling it communism, saying he was fighting against communism, like, like those old Goldwater Republicans. Goldwater was anti-communism, like saying that he's fighting communism because he's fighting to give the people a break, to have their all these things, all these benefits, paid leave and this and that. So he called that communism. He characterized, former President Trump characterized it as a communist effort here. He did say that. No one's going to bug me on that one because that's the truth. Okay, and concluding, if Mitch McConnell had fought, you would have had a different Republican president. So, former President Trump, he switched gears and he went right back to the election, which he always seems to do. He always has to, no matter what he's talking about, he has to get that jab in there. And this is what he did here in concluding, with complimenting Kevin McCarthy. He went back to his gripe about the election. If Mitch McConnell had fought, his gripe about Mitch McConnell had fought, you would have a different Republican president right now, meaning him. Okay, so now here he is. He's having a dream. He's dreaming about going back to January 6th. What could have happened if Mitch McConnell had fought on January 6th during the riot there at the Capitol? If Mitch McConnell had fought. Okay. There he is dreaming about that. And here's the dream. Okay, here he is. There's the Capitol. There you got your people coming in, those people coming in there, the rioters. And here's Mitch McConnell. Oh, here got a guy with a loudspeaker. And there it is. And there's the Shema with the American flag. McConnell looking a little upset there as he runs into the Shema, the Shema there, and the Shema says to Mitch, are you going to fight for America and tell Mike Pence to throw out the fake election results? And Mitch says, yeah. Here goes Mitch. And Mitch says, yes, but given the circumstances, I'll yell it from here. Assuming he was caught outside for a while, it went out maybe, and he was coming in, and then he says, yes, but given the circumstances, I'll yell it from here. So we don't want to go into the Capitol. And then here's a guy there that says, here's a loudspeaker. He's going to give him his loudspeaker. So, so Mitch thought he'd be shrewd there, thinking, well, I'll just yell it out, no one's going to hear me, and then the guy's giving him a loudspeaker. Okay, that's the best I could do with that one, Yeah, okay. There's Mitch McConnell, the Trump rioter and supporter, giving him the loudspeaker so he can yell, Mike, don't ratify that vote. Don't ratify that vote. Okay, and that's it. And there he is. And here is the QAnon shaman with the American flag. And then you have your rioters here. And you got some down here with a baseball bat there. There's Mitch standing in the middle of all this. The shamam, last look at the shamam there. Shaman. Okay. I thought it was appropriate because the shaman just got sentenced to 41 months in jail for his activities on that day, you know, and he was remorseful about it and all, but, you know, anyway, I thought it was appropriate and very timely to do this, so I did it. There it was. Okay, folks, that was that. Okay, now we start the countdown. Okay, this is number, we got here 1, 2, 3, 5. So this is numero cinco de la semana, number 5 of the week. Here. Here we got former President Donald Trump watches Paul Gosar, a Republican Arizona, tweeted, thank you message for Trump's complete and total endorsement. So Trump was basically, he was thanking Trump for endorsing him after what he said in the videos that he put up, these videos. That coming one day after Gosar was censored over a violent video targeting Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Democrat in New York, and President Joe Biden. Okay, so he did is in the cartoon basically he's killing some joke. He's killing Ocasio-Cortez and threatening President Joe Biden in this video. So it appears that way. It's an animated video. Okay, it's not but it's bad enough. Anyway, so that's the way it appears. It appears that he's doing this. Okay, he's not doing it. It appears that way in the cartoon. It's an animated cartoon. Okay, Japanese style animated cartoon. Okay, so here goes Paul Gosar, and he's saying that this is his tweet that he put out. Paul goes, thank you, President Trump, for this honor. I am humbled to have earned your support and the support of the American people. Our struggle to return this nation to greatness is more daunting than ever with the current administration. Together, we will save America. At Trump War Room. Okay, this is what he put out. And then Trump responds, you're welcome, Paul. Together we will retake the House. He's saying to him, you're welcome, Paul. Together we will retake the House majority and save America. With you back on committees, the Dems unjustly kicked you off of, because they kicked them off of committees, and the Republicans now, they're threatened now to even kick Democrats off committees when they get in there. They're going to do some type of thing to have to, or reappointed, they'll have to be reappointed to their committees and vote on it or something like that. And so they're threatening that, and they're going to put him back, and they're going to put this guy back, this guy Gosar back on committees, because the idea was that he didn't physically kill anybody or threaten anybody. It was a symbolic, they say symbolic, okay, representation due to, so anyway, here we go. So with you back on committees, the Dems unjustly kicked you off of, and you may get the additional assignment to the House Ethics Committee. Great work. So President Trump here, this is a joke I made up. Okay, but it could happen that he goes down, aside for those committees that he had, he'll go on to the House Ethics Committee, okay? Put him on the House Ethics Committee to monitor elections, monitor elections, and nobody does any funny cartoons about the election or anything like that, you know? You could come after me if he gets that position, you know? So here you have it. There it is. The Ethics Committee. Right on. Okay. Paul Gosar's tweet. Former President Trump thanking him basically for his support after he supported him. Okay. Numero 4 de la semana. This one I showed you last week, except for the fact that it wasn't complete. So the idea here is that Mr. McConnell and former president, this is what happens, what's going on here, as an old crow. So former President Trump now has given Mitch McConnell a new name, Old Crow McConnell, and he's updated it to Broken Old Crow. So I'm going to do a cartoon about Broken Old Crow because Old Crow is sufficient, I figure this way. We got the Old Crow, we don't need the Broken Old Crow. So I'm leaving it at that. So here is Mitch McConnell as an old Crow McConnell. Okay. Okay, and there's Mitch McConnell. There, okay. Former President Trump, after lashing out at Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell questioning in a statement why Old Crow, Old Crow, Mitch McConnell voted for a terrible Democrat socialist infrastructure plan. Now watching McConnell being asked whether he will be attending a White House signing ceremony for the bipartisan infrastructure deal that he voted for. So aside from McConnell speaking against Trump after the January 6th riot, he now voted for this bill here, this bipartisan bill. He voted for it, and he's now coming under fire for voting for it. Okay, and what's happening here is that he's decided not to go there because he doesn't want to make any further waves in the party, because they're going to use this against him and take photos of him there and maybe even shaking Biden's hand, and that's going to go against him. He don't want no part of those optics, so he's staying away from that deal, okay? So he's saying here, this is a ceremony that was held on last Monday, okay, at the White House for the signing of the bill. Okay, this was the bipartisan infrastructure bill that was passed by both House and Senate. The other bill now was passed by the House, has to be passed by the Senate. It's very doubtful. We'll see what's going to happen now. They're going to chop it up like my mother used to make chopped liver. That's going to be chopped up. So we'll see what happens there. Okay. I've got other things to do than go to the signing ceremony. So that's the deal there. He don't want no part of that, those optics. Okay, and then here we go. And here goes former President Trump. I've got other things to do too, like hanging Old Crow here in the Senate gallery. So he's going to hang a picture. This is going to be Mitch McConnell as the Old Crow in the Senate gallery. He won't be able to do it now, but if he becomes president again, 2024, I guess that's what he means. That's what the cartoon means. There it is. Okay. He looks like he's going to fly away, Okay. All right. Here is numero 3 de la semana, number 3. Here is Paul Gosar again. Okay. Former President Donald Trump watching Representative Paul Gosar, Republican Arizona, being censored on the House floor. That for Gosar's Twitter posted animated cartoon in which he is shown killing Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Democrat New York, and threatening President Joe Biden with swords, amid Gosar defending his tweet and then retweeting it after previously taking it down. So he first took it down, and then he went through the censor, and then he put it back again after the censor. So he wants this. He's sending a message there for sure. Okay. So here he goes. Okay. And he's defending he's defending this cartoon, okay, this violent cartoon. He's defending it, and he's saying, "This tweet is only a symbolic attack on the Biden administration's immigration policies. There is no threat in the cartoon. It is immigration that is a threat to our country." So that's what he's saying. He's justifying his violent cartoon by saying there's more violence from the people who come into the country than there is in my cartoon. You know, I mean, he's I don't know. Well, anyway, so okay, then here goes President Trump, former President Trump. "This Gosar is a fantastic patriot, just like that great founding father Patrick Henry, who during our American Revolution said, 'Give me liberty or give me death.' Gosar just flipped it to other people's death." So he's just flipping it around. He's saying, give death to other people, not to him. So that was the cartoon in that. So he's comparing him to Patrick Henry. Only Patrick said, "Give me liberty or give me death." And Gosar saying, well, he'd rather have other people have death and let them make the sacrifice. Okay, so that was what this cartoon was about. Okay. Okay, we're moving up there. Okay, numero dos de la semana, number 2 of the week. Here we have Bannon, Trump watching Bannon here. Okay, former President Donald Trump watches his former advisor Steve Bannon being released from his federal court appearance ahead of his trial. Okay, he didn't want to testify, but they got all this stuff and he went there and then they released him. Okay, that because of his being charged with contempt of Congress for his failure to honor House subpoena from Select Committee investigating January 6th. Amid a defiant Bannon warns of a misdemeanor from hell for Merrick Garland, Nancy Pelosi, and Joe Biden. So if they give him a misdemeanor and formally charge him with a misdemeanor, he's saying this is the misdemeanor is going to be their ticket to hell. It's going to be a misdemeanor from hell to them. Okay, this misdemeanor is going to bring hell onto them. That's what he's basically saying here. And then we have so here we have Bannon here. Here's Bannon. Trump is watching him here. Bannon says, "I'm telling you right now, this is going to be the misdemeanor from hell for Merrick Garland, Nancy Pelosi, and Joe Biden." And then here, former President Trump responds. There's the misdemeanor and going back to hell, you see? That's hell when he's sending it back to hell, the misdemeanor. And here's President Trump. "Steve, in 2022, when my Republicans win the House, we will send your sham misdemeanor back to hell." So he's going to take the misdemeanor that Bannon got and send it back to hell. Okay, it won't mean anything because he'll, as president then, if he's reelected, it won't mean a damn thing. You know, he'll just expunge the whole thing. And he's going to send it back to hell. And there it is. And there it is when it gets back to hell, being burned in hell. Misdemeanor. Okay, there it is. Okay. Like a shredder. There it goes. Okay. That's the misdemeanor in hell, being burned up. Trump sending it back to hell. Okay. Bannon. Former President Trump, thumbs up for Bannon. Okay, numero uno de la semana. This is Archie Bunker with his son-in-law Mike. Watching here. Here they're watching. Archie Bunker watching Representative Matt Gaetz, Republican Florida, saying if Kyle Rittenhouse, who was just acquitted of all charges in Kenosha, Wisconsin, Kyle Rittenhouse, 18, on trial in Kenosha, Wisconsin, is not found guilty of the charges of first-degree reckless or intentional or attempted intentional homicide, then, quote, he would probably make a pretty good congressional intern, and we may reach out to him and see if he'd be interested in helping the country in additional ways. So I moved this to another level, and very logical that he could use him for other ways in terms of sending around to voting polls, to where people vote, to the polls, to voting polls. And a guy like that walks in, a lot of people are going to be reluctant to maybe to vote there, you know, or to make sure that people do the right thing. Anybody who protests against a Republican official doing something which they're now licensed to do, and then you see Kyle Rittenhouse there with that thing on his back, you know, that thing on his back and everything. They ain't going to argue with nobody. He said, okay, here's my vote, bye, you know. So that intimidation, to help with voter intimidation. I mean, that's a hypothetical that I'm taking to another level, but it's based upon past remarks and comments made by a lot of people, a lot of Republican people, high-level Republican people. Okay, based on that. Okay, it's not based upon anything that Matt Gaetz said about that. Matt Gaetz didn't say nothing about that. He just said for other purposes, additional ways. So, you know, additional ways. I mean, you use your imagination on that one. Coming up the election time. So here goes. So then Archie Bunker and his son-in-law Mike are watching this whole thing going down with Matt Gaetz saying this. You see, they're watching it together in front of the TV. Okay, and here goes Mike. Mike says to Archie, Kyle Rittenhouse helping the country in additional ways. Hear that, Arch? The Republicans want a Trump youth to intimidate voters at the polls, a Trump youth, you know. And then Archie says here, now wait a minute, meathead. Ain't nobody starting no youth stuff here in the good old USA. It's all about seeing nobody messes with your vote. Okay? Okay, and then Mike answers back and he says, Arch, in Georgia, which happens to be in the USA, it is against the law to give voters in line food or water. Waiting for voting, can't give them food or water. It's against the law. And then Archie says here, and Arch responds, look, meathead, that is to protect your voting folks from being poisoned. Remember your ancient Roman history when that Caesar, the dictator, gave voters poisoned orange Julius drinks. So Caesar handed out a poisoned orange Julius, you know, Julius Caesar. So this was a drink that he made called the orange Julius, you know, it's a play on Julius Caesar. He thought he acted like a dictator. He was a very authoritarian character, you know, and so I kind of injected that analogy here to say that this is what he did, and as a dictator, to make sure people voted the way they wanted to do, he gave him his orange Julius drink, which was poison. Orange Julius Caesar. There you go. That's the joke. So you think about this, what it means, and I like I said, give you the joke, give you the facts, and you put it together. You decide what it means to you. And so there you have it. Okay? Okay. Okay, folks, I want to thank you very much for watching my political cartoon countdown today. I wish you all a good week. Take care of yourselves, and God bless you, and God bless America. Bye, folks. See you next time.